Okay, well, we're back to the cardiovascular system, and now we're in video 3. This has been it's a tough little chapter, isn't it? There's a lot of stuff, and I don't know about you. Once again, I think back when I took human anatomy, first semester I was kind of clicking along, doing pretty good. Second semester, man, I tell you what, I had to really break things down into the little smaller bites, and that's what we're doing. So. Let's cover a few more things, and then I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to do some overview of the whole chapter here. Okay. So, about what percent of the atrial blood flows into the ventricles before the atrial contract? Okay. So once again, the question is about what percent of the atrial blood flows, so that's from the atriums, okay, flows into the ventricles before the atrial contract. So what that means is, okay, here's the heart, okay, here's that heart, and whenever we open a valve, okay, a certain amount of blood is going to go into the other part just by opening the valve, okay, and then the other part is going to come upon this heartbeat. Now, whenever we talk about the heart, okay, you know, the heart's in the center, you know, and we always, you know, when we were little kids, we would hold our hands, you know, to the right side or left side of our heart, because the heart beats like this, so we feel the beat stronger that way. So what is that beat? That beat is a contraction. And as it contracts, what are we doing? Pushing the remainder of the blood out. So they're asking us about what percent of the atrial blood flows to the ventricles before the atrial contact or contract. C-O-N-T-R-A-C-T. What does that mean? What's the difference between contact and contract? Contact means that it touches. Contract means that it moves it all the way out. Okay. So 70% of the atrial blood begins to go through the heart. 70% goes through the heart before we even have that final fire. Okay. Just by opening the valve, we let 70% in. Okay, so once again, I'm going to give you that question again. About 70% of the atrial blood flows into the ventricles before the atria contract. All right, now, the blank allows the atria to communicate with the ventricles. All right? Now, we have a whole electrical system in our heart. And actually, we've got to be synchronized. So we've got the atrium, we have the ventricles. Now, we have something called, this is the answer to this, the AV bundle. It's A/V bundle. The AV bundle allows the atria to communicate with the ventricles. So the atrium to communicate with the ventricles. AV is actually an electrical node that connects those. All right. Now, which part of the heart is the last to become excited during a cardiac cycle? So here's the question again. Which part of the heart is the last to become excited during a cardiac cycle? So this is the very last part to contract, okay? And the answer is the superior ventricle region, okay? The superior ventricle region, V-E-N-T-R-I-C-U-L-A-R. All right. So that's the what does that mean? The last part to become excited. See, here's this heartbeat. Remember I was telling you it beats from the left? So the blood comes in, boom, we're going to pump the blood here, to here, to here, to here, to out. So we're saying that the last part, so here's this contraction, boom. How many times does the heart contract? It's kind of interesting. The heart doesn't contract for one atrium or one ventricle, or relax for one atrium or one ventricle. It contracts one time, and during that time, blood goes from this chamber to this chamber to this chamber to this chamber. Wow. And then it relaxes and more blood comes in. Wow. What an amazing organ that it could function so precisely. All right. So the last part of that is the superior ventricular region. That's the last one to get excited during that one heartbeat. Okay, now the cardiac reflex control. Okay, so the whole reflex control. What causes your heart to beat? Okay, what's the system? Do we say to ourselves, you know, is it a voluntary or is it an involuntary action? So this is pretty critical. The heart, of course, is an involuntary reflex, which means that we can't say, I want to stop my heart. So we just slow our heart down. Now, we can run more and maybe speed our heart up and do different things to speed our heart up, or we can rest and lay down, slow down our heart a little bit. But the actual reflex control is found in the medulla oblongata, okay? That's part of the brain, all right? It's the back part of the brain. The medulla oblongata controls our heart rate, our respiration rate, controls things that we don't get to. The medulla oblongata, once again, is M-E-D-U-L-L-A, and then oblongata, O-B-L-O-N-G-O-T-A, oblongata. The medulla oblongata controls the involuntary actions, mainly the cardiovascular system, the heart and the heart rate and the respiratory rate. So what that means is, if we were in a coma, okay, it doesn't go through the frontal lobe, it doesn't go through the thinking part of our brain, it's all automatic. So if we were in a coma, even if we weren't able to think, we would still have heart rate and we would still have respiration, because the medulla oblongata controls that. So once again, the question is, the cardiac reflex controls centers located in the medulla oblongata. Now, that's I don't want you to turn the video off. That's primarily the bulk of your test. But I want to show you a few more things. I want to elaborate on a couple of things in your book. I want you to pause your video if you don't have your book and go to page 565. Okay, so we've got this this incredible thing, and I've kind of been hinging on it back and forth. Okay, but 565, we're not going to ask you this on your test, but it's really interesting. It's something that you need to understand. The path of the blood through coronary circulation. This is amazing. Okay, so we start out with the aorta, and then the aorta, the blood is pumped into the right coronary artery and the left coronary artery. Okay, isn't that interesting? And then we have the posterior interventricular artery, and it just goes through all of the different areas where you can trace the blood all the way through. Where does the blood start out? It starts out in your aorta. Starts out in your aorta. And it ends up in your right atrium. So the aorta is a critical part of your heart. Your aorta coming into your heart is one of the largest. We talk about pressure. It's one of the largest arteries. If somebody is in a car accident and they have a hope you're never in a car accident. Sometimes we give points and different things, but if you ever come across somebody that's in a car accident and has especially a laceration in their neck, or could be the arm, okay, but it's usually the neck and the heart, and every time that person pumps, they're losing blood out. They're losing blood out of that aorta. It's really, I say it's simple. It's something in the back of your mind you would do, but you just have to think about it in case of emergency. But you gotta grab a cloth. Some people just rip their shirt off or whatever, and you got to hold and put compression on there to try to keep that blood in. The aorta is so large that we can literally put pressure on it and keep that blood in there. And we're going to lose some blood, obviously, but it's such a big pump. Remember we talked about the resistance, and it's like that hose, and it just squirts out that blood. But what does it do? It goes on the heartbeat. So as the blood pumps, then here's where the blood goes from the aorta all the way to the right atrium. So I want you to look over that. We have a lot of different parts of the heartbeat. And then I want to follow up to, I really want to show you this because this is the overlooked part of the heart. Also on page 565, figure 15.14, it says an angiogram, okay, radiograph of the coronary arteries is a diagnostic procedure used to examine specific blood vessels. Well, when we look at this and we see all of these blood vessels, this picture is an incredible picture of an angiogram of all the vessels in the top of the heart. What are those vessels doing? Are they actually the vessels that are moving the blood in and out of the heart? No, these are the vessels that are supplying blood to the muscle of the heart. Oh, so it's really interesting. So we've got to remember the heart has two functions. Okay, the heart is to pump the blood throughout the body, but the body is also to be supplied by blood to the heart. We have to make sure that all these cells, okay, of the heart, since they work so hard, have the right amount of nutrients and the right amount of oxygen themselves. So when we look on the outside of that, we find a lot of problems with the heart is that if the heart's not working properly, one of the first problems that we have is we're not getting oxygen to the heart muscles themselves. See, so we can't overlook that. We're not talking about even blood pumped in and out of the heart. We're talking about if the heart's having trouble, then one of the major organs that has to have the proper amount of circulation is the heart itself. So when we look at an angiogram, we can see right away if the heart's not getting enough blood, well then something's wrong with something, whether it's coronary heart disease, whether we have stopped up arteries, or we have something wrong, or the heart's not pumping right. We can see right away that the actual arteries that provide the oxygen to the heart have a problem. So when we look at this diagram, we can see those all over. So if you were a radiologist and you were looking at this, and one of those major arteries to the heart is not there, or it's plugged up, or it's dark, well then we're not getting the right amount of blood. Well, the problem is twofold. The heart then is not getting the oxygen it needs for those muscles to live, okay? But also it means that the heart is not pumping out enough blood, and for some reason it's not getting back to the heart. So fascinating deal there. I did want to talk briefly about veins, okay? Arteries pump the blood. They're all on pressure, okay? Now, veins are flat, and they have a reverse valve in it. So as you walk, okay, and as you flex your muscles in your legs and the rest of your body, it pushes the blood through these veins, and they go through a valve. And as they go through a valve, then the valve closes, so the blood can't reverse. All right? But we've got all this blood in this one section. How do we get the blood out of that leg? Because we've got this 5 liters of blood that we need to get back to the heart so we can pump it back through the body. That's where we have to exercise. So why do we get lethargic, or why do we get tired when we're riding in a car? So we're riding in a car for a long period of time. You don't get out of that car,